Quantum science is showing us the infinite, the universal mind, God, source, all of it. We are really springing forth from that ourselves. And that there's a trail. It's basically funneling and then channeling into what becomes our own energy system, folded over on itself here in this physical dimension. Hello there, I'm Dr. Sue Morter, and welcome to another episode of The Art of Awakening. And of course, we're having a very special guest with us here today. I'm absolutely thrilled to bring to you Reverend Dr. Iyanla Vanzant. Now, you probably know who she is, but if you know someone who doesn't, you can tell them this about her because she's an amazing individual and everyone needs to know her. She is a renowned spiritual teacher, and she's been around. She's been through it. She's been around a while, and she speaks the wisdom. She is a life coach. She's a New York Times best-selling author. She is best known as the host of the award-winning show, Iyanla, Fix My Life. It is on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and it has been an amazing thing to watch her over the years. So she has a background in law and a deep commitment to personal empowerment, kind of an interesting combination of things that brings her a unique perspective into this world of awakening. She's dedicated her life to helping others to heal from trauma, reclaim their power, and live from their own authenticity. And through her books and her workshops and her television appearances, she has certainly become a leading voice in emotional healing and spiritual growth. Welcome, Iyanla. Thank you so much for being here with us
Wow.
today.
Wow, and welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You
Thank you for
know, I have to just say that I have had great times with you, laughing over the years. We met through Reverend Michael and Revelation and the annual program that he was doing. We were doing that together a couple of years in a row, and we would laugh about all sorts of fun things. And some of the most important things are shoes. I remember us talking about loving each other's shoes and being all over that. So our conversation today is probably going to go a little deeper than that, but I just had to touch base and let everybody know that you are full spectrum. You are deep and rich and wise, and you also love to dance, on tap dance on the surface of life with the best of them. So thank you for joining us here. Yeah, indeed.
for having me. Thank you for the work
Yeah.
that you do. I'm always following you, sending folk your way. So it's really, really good. And after all of these years, it's like, we reconnect and we talk, and it's like we haven't missed a beat.
Exactly. And that's really the timelessness is the richness of life, right? We pick up right where we left off. And this is what we want people to be able to remember, that there's a version of them that is still tapped into the most inspired moments they've ever had in their life. There's a version of them that is still tapped in to the innocence and the purity of life and the optimism and the joy and the presence that we've always dreamt of, even if more recently we've been pulled away from that and focusing on different vibrations of what life has to offer. And part of what we're doing here at the Art of Awakening is showing people the way back into the true, essential, authentic self, and to learn to train their mind to stay there, to stay
Yeah.
home on us instead of getting off in all the stories that it gets off and caught up in. So I'd love for people to just hear for a few moments about where things started for you when you started recognizing that, hey, being focused on the outer world is good and it's fun and it's exciting and exhilarating and sometimes quite painful, and we can feel lost and confused. And so was there a moment in your life where you started recognizing, I got to do something different. I need to lean back into something and find a deeper come from in
Yeah.
life?
Oh, that's beautiful. Um, I think I would go back to almost 49 years ago. I was in a battle of postpartum depression 6 weeks after having given birth to my daughter, and I decided that I was going to take my life. I don't think I decided,
Mm,
because when you're in that level of discord and in disharmony within yourself, it's not a decision. You're just moving. So I took a handful of pills. I had a 6-week-old baby in the crib. I had just hung clothes out on the line out the back of my house. So I took a handful of barbiturates and I was done. I was just done. And
Wow.
I remember, this is the part I remember. I was laying on the kitchen floor and I could feel myself going in and out of consciousness. And before me appeared the most gorgeous black woman I had ever seen in my life.
Mm,
She was black for a reason.
mm.
And she looked at me and instinctively I knew, okay, this is somebody big here. You
I'm in big company. Yeah.
This is not like the neighbor passing by to help me, you know.
Uh-huh.
I knew it was the Divine Mother. I knew
Mm,
it. And she said to me, do you want to die or do you want to learn how to live? No. Do you want to die or do you want to stop hurting? Because I didn't want to die. I wanted to stop hurting. And I said, I want to stop hurting. And she said, okay, then I'm going to teach you how to live. Because all of those things that you said before, the authentic self, our innocence still being present, being able to tap into joy, being able to know the I that I am, I didn't know any of that. I grew up in discord, dysfunction, distress, deprivation, poverty, all of that. And for me, growing up in a traditional church, the image of the divine that I was presented with just didn't resonate with me. I could never seem to please that old white guy. I couldn't do
mm.
it.
Yeah.
Everything I wanted to do was going to send me to hell. Okay. All the
Right.
fun stuff, I was going to hell.
Mm. Yeah.
So the fact that God appeared to me in a way that I could receive and accept and
Mm.
understand was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up in the hospital. They had pumped my stomach. So I didn't die, as you could tell.
Quite the
And
opposite.
I spent 6.5 weeks in the psychiatric ward, um, which they did back then, when you made an attempt on your life to make
Mm.
sure you have no suicidal ideations. And it was the most powerful 6 weeks of my life because the only thing I could do between the drugs was write and pray. And that's what I did. I wrote and prayed. And in that 6 weeks, God, Source, Created, the Divine Mother, taught me how to live
Mm.
from the inside out. So I say to my friends, I learned how to live in the nut house.
Mhm.
I don't know what y'all did in the nut house, but that's what I
We'll have
did.
that.
I
Sanity is overrated anyway, so that's a
learned
good thing. How beautiful. So, I really want to just to pick up on this little I big idea of this Black Divine Mother. I do these tours to the south of France and the Mary Magdalene tours, and there's an emphasis along the way, sort of as an aside, but it kind of can't be ignored, and it always grabs me so much. And I opened so beautifully to the Black Madonna. The Black Madonna is what I feel is the void representative of the divine feminine, the great divine feminine, which is the whole of creation. And and I know that when people close their eyes and they meditate and they don't see these big geometrical shapes or have these big experiences or see colors like some people do, they start to get discouraged and they think they can't meditate and it's not for them and they'll never plug in. And I'll ask them, well, what do you see? And they'll say, this is black. It's just this black. And I ask them, well, how does it feel if you really feel into that darkness? What happens? And they say, I don't know. I said, well, check it out. And so they come back and they say, it's actually quite comforting if I open and allow, if I just embrace that there could be something good inside of that darkness. And what I feel they are doing is tapping into this beautiful divine mother that you were able to put imagery to. But there's a felt sensation that if we're in the dark and we can open and just be okay with it, we actually have access to the infinite. We have access to a smorgasbord that is so rich and so full that there's no one thing there. And what do you think? Do you think that's what you were
Absolutely.
tapping into?
I say Black Madonna. I say black because meaning dark, mysterious, we
Yeah,
can't see.
yeah.
When you read any spiritual text, in the Quran, in the Bible, in the Gita, there's always a story of someone going through a place of transition where they're struck blind. Happened to Paul in the Bible. It happened at some point to the Buddha. It happened to Baha'u'llah. There's always a story because when you are blind, when you can't see with these physical eyes, you retreat into the darkness, the blackness of spirit, the unknown, unknown. So yeah, and the Pope, we know goes to the shrine of the Black Madonna every day. That's where prayers are done at the shrine of the Black Madonna. So black meaning the darkness, the unknown, the place where we retreat and surrender, and Madonna meaning mother, which is the heart. And the first thing all of us had, one thing we all have in common, the first sound that we hear when the little holes in our head become ears is your mother's heartbeat. That's the first thing. And next thing is her voice. Everybody. It's true for everybody. If you lived in a womb, the first thing you heard was a heartbeat. So the darkness of the heartbeat, like it's so beautiful that you say to people, well, what does it feel like in the darkness?
Hmm.
Because you get into that emotion, that energy of feeling. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. Yes, she taught me how to live in the nut house.
Yes, indeed. Well, if we just allow it all to be the nut house, we actually start to see a little bit more clearly because it's
Yeah,
it's it's kind of crazy out in the world these days, right? And lots of people are talking about that. And what if that's just the same opportunity for us to find some stillness and some sanity in the retreat within when we're walking through this outer world context that's in the crazy of trying to birth itself into a higher level of consciousness, and it's
yeah.
struggling and kicking and screaming in the process. So, what if the whole thing is just a holographic representation of what you're describing for everyone? What if that's all
I
that's
think
happening?
for me, that is what's happening.
Yeah.
And if when you awaken to that, the art of awakening, when you awaken to the reality that what you're looking at with your eyes is really backwards. When you look in the mirror, everything you see is reversed. So we're looking out in the world and it looks like chaos when it's actually creation because all change is preceded by chaos. And it looks like, if you're trying to clean your closet out, you've got to dump everything on the bed, the hangers on the floor, the stuff you can't find, the things you got two of, everything is all over the place. It's a mess. But you're creating change. You're transforming the closet or the drawer or your purse or whatever. I was cleaning my purse out the other day and I found three peanuts. Not in the shit, just loose peanuts. I ate them.
Of course you did.
I don't know how long they.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
why
Were,
waste the snack?
were these peanuts in a shell or were they just kind of like
No.
hanging out? They were
It's
just peanuts.
loose down in the purse. I said, why waste the snack? I mean, you don't know little things like that. The little joys, the
Yes.
little gems that come out of the chaos. In my
Yeah.
case, it was peanuts.
Yes, right. That's it. If you're looking for
And
the
this,
joy, you're going to find it, right?
yeah.
Somebody's
So
nose might have curled up, but you just like popped them in your mouth. That's the way to
they were in
go.
my purse. I don't think anybody else put them there. So they must have been good to me one day. Let me go remember that day.
Why can't they still be good? In the timeless world, they're still good.
Yeah, they just had a little lint on them. I just picked the lint off. I ate them. I wasn't going to throw them away. But I'm
Excellent.
just saying that in the midst of the chaos of change, of growth, of healing, of awakening,
Yeah.
it's going to look crazy
Yeah.
and it's going to feel crazy. And we think because we're looking at it, we can tell and see what it is. But really, what we're looking at is darkness in motion. That's really what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And if we get still, the meaning will come forward.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
oftentimes we'll feel something before we'll ever see anything. We'll feel it before we see it, whether we're meditating or whether it's in the world. We feel
Yes.
inspired to go and create something. We're going to feel the inspiration long before we can see the physical manifestation of it. And so what do you do to enhance your ability to sense and feel your internal world? what are practices or things you just how do you go about paying attention to the inner while you're busy doing the doing of life?
Well, the first thing I do is, I live very intentionally. I want to give you, I want to give your listening family an exercise, okay?
Mm,
So when you wake up tomorrow morning, or you can do it today, say, red is coming to me all day long, or blue, or green, or yellow. Everything red is all around me. I see red everywhere. And then when you go out in the world, I want you to notice how many red cars, red trucks, red people, red things, red you're going to see. It just speaks to the power of living intentionally, and number two, the power of a thought.
mm,
Because you don't have resistance to red, so you don't have a story about it, or
mm,
yellow or green. What
right.
happens is, because we have stories about things, and when we don't set an intention on how those things are going to operate for us, we see them or we experience them, and our hair is on fire. So I set a bedtime intention every night. I do. I write it down in my little book.
Mm-hmm.
And I set an intention when I wake up in the morning. Usually, my intention is, to sleep restfully, to receive any downloads of information that will support me in my healing, growth, and evolution, and in my service to the world. Download it clearly so that I understand it. And please, don't let me have to pee more than twice because I'm old. And I don't want to have to get up and interrupt the download. Okay, so
Yes, exactly, exactly.
I set an intention at my bedtime. I set an intention in the day, how I want to experience my day.
Mm,
Prayer is very important to me.
mm-hmm,
And I do two kind of prayers. I do communicative prayers and I do communion prayers. In a communication, when I want to pray and communicate, I go into my space, I do my breath, I drop down, and I just lay it all on the table. Okay, this and that, and the rent and the bill and the Buddha, whatever it is. And then I get still and I listen. When I go for communion, when I'm praying in communion, it's
mm-hmm,
basically, good morning, God. I love you. And then I listen. That's it.
mm,
If I need some direction in the day, I put that in my intention and I go to communion to connect with, to be with. And the thing is, Sue, you know this, the longer you do it, the better you get at it. So where I
mm-hmm.
used to, like 3 minutes used to seem like 6 years.
Right.
now, now I can be in communion for 90 minutes and I have to look up and go run to make an appointment.
Mm-hmm,
The longer you do it, and repetition is the mother of skill. So getting still and asking for guidance about everything, everything. Today I'm communicating, tomorrow I'll just commune. And even when I pray and ask about things, show me, guide me, lift me, give me clarity, show me, help me understand, whatever it is. Even after I put that on the altar, the internal altar, I listen to hear what's going on. And what that does is, again, back to the art of awakening. When you develop that level of intimate connection with divine mind, infinite source, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, the ascended masters, the angels, whoever you're connecting to, when you develop that kind of relationship, they respond. When I call you, Sue, you respond.
yeah,
You
right.
call because we have a relationship.
Yes.
I can't
Good.
just show up every Tuesday if it's an odd date and the moon is full
Mm-hmm.
and expect
Yeah.
to get this download, although you can.
Yes.
But so for me, I'm at the state in my development when I understand myself as a human being, I am crazy as hell. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Subject lose my mind at any moment. I have a gift for fiction, so I make up all sorts of stories about all sorts of things and people, and I have learned that does not turn out well for me. So I go in and get the information and follow it through obedience, discipline,
Mm,
surrender,
mm-hmm.
trust. Yeah.
Beautiful. One of the things that quantum science is showing us is that the unified field, which would be the multiple dimensions collectively gathered, the infinite, the universal mind, God, source, all of it would be this one thing, the oneness, and that we are really springing forth from that ourselves, and that there is a trail that it's basically funneling and then channeling into what becomes our own energy system folded over on itself here in this physical dimension. And so there's a connection all the way through. And you're saying that, when you ask, when you speak to, there's a response. And even science would back this up, because it would say that it's all connected. There's an inherent interconnectedness that leaves us separate from nothing. And so we're actually at one with Source. We're at one with the ascended masters, the higher states of consciousness, God, Buddha, Jesus, whatever it is that we're calling to. It's actually the highest version of consciousness, of which we are a part of also. So, of
Yes.
course, there's a response if we're going to turn our attention toward that, because it's basically getting the attention of our own highest self, our own high mind, our own high consciousness. And I think that it's been a real disservice to our humanity over the millennia to separate ourselves from God and speak about it as an other. We other the divine. We other it. And and so what I'm really loving doing here with the Art of Awakening is tying things together so much that they cannot be separated, and that we start to change our vernacular a little bit and change our way of thinking about it, and allow it all to be right here, and for it to be a part of me instead of me to be apart from it. I'm a part of it, and it is a part of me. We're one and the same. And it's hard for the ego mind to accept such a lofty identity. And and I think that's good, because when the ego mind can't accept such a lofty identity, maybe the ego mind will just sit there and be quiet for a minute and allow something else to birth. So if you're wanting to still the ego mind, the fear-based mind, the performing personality, or the protective parts of ourselves, what do you do while you're walking around during your day, outside of moments of prayer and meditation, in the regular life? What ways do you find yourself honoring that connection, that ongoing connection?
For me, it's breath.
Mm.
I pay attention to I know usually when my hair is on fire and I'm doing my fiction, making up stories, I'm not breathing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Right. How long do
Not
you
breathing.
go without breathing? It's,
So I
yeah.
could go as I'm sipping air.
Yeah.
You
Right. Yeah.
Um, I can go as long as an hour,
Yeah.
in my drama, in my hysteria.
Yeah.
Once I recognize I'm not breathing, I stop.
Isn't it
Okay, let me
amazing?
touch. Let me align with the heartbeat. Let me because my heartbeat is the pulse of the earth. Your heartbeat, it's in the pulse of the earth. And when
Yeah.
we slow that down and get into the pulse, when we get into the eye of the earth, the eye of life, we can reconnect with that mass consciousness. So for me, it's breath. And sometimes, I'm from Brooklyn, so my ego is very strong willed. And it takes control of my life, and
Yeah.
I hear myself thinking or engaging or entertaining something that I know is just crazy. And when I catch that thought, I cancel it out. Cancel, cancel. I don't know where that came from. Thank you for sharing. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Cancel, cancel. I cancel the thought. I cancel the energy. I cancel it out,
Mm.
and I let it know. And I work with that part of me that's been taught to be afraid, that part of me that's taught to be separate, that part of me that taught it's unworthy, that part, we all have that part. And when it's acting up, um, I say, okay, what do I need right now?
Yeah.
What do you need? What do you need?
Yeah.
With loving compassion,
That's it.
because how you handle yourself as you handle the issue, whatever the issue is the issue.
Hmm.
Because if you understand that you are handling an aspect of the divine, you won't criticize yourself, judge yourself, beat yourself up, beat yourself down, expect yourself to know what you don't know. You will be compassionate and loving. So when I find okay, all right, Miss Iyanla, what do you need right now? What's going on? What's happening? And, I'm old enough to talk to myself out loud, and I'm old enough to answer myself out loud.
Permission granted.
All right. I'm like, okay, because I don't want to use the same mind that's driving me crazy to try to clean me up.
Right. Exactly. Right.
let
Bringing
me
help.
voice
Yeah.
so that some other part of me will help. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What do you need right now? And that's a part of the awakening process to know, okay, I'm in crisis right now. And instead of me acting like I'm not or beating myself up, let me stop, take a breath, get in touch. And what do I need? Do I need comfort? Do I need a piece of chocolate? Do I need to pray? Do I need to go drink some? What do I need right now? Because you're not going to awaken to the broader, the bigger, the more glorious I if you don't take care of the little me.
Yeah.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
Don't act like it's not there. It is.
Yeah, the little one is like the doorway that allows access to the big one, right? They have to
Yeah.
collaborate. They have to work together. You know, it's
Yeah.
sort of like, and what you're saying is that we have to provide the love for the part of us that is split off and splintered off and splatted out there and freaking out and in crisis. We have to provide the love and the compassion to welcome it back in. We can't beat ourselves up. It's not like the thrashings will continue until morale improves. It's like that doesn't work, right? It's not a good approach. So we can't
No.
beat it up and expect
Right.
it to ever come home to us, right?
Right.
So I love that you're saying that you just ask what is needed and then offer it up, right?
Yeah.
Offer it up and
And
receive it. Give it and receive it, right?
that's right, because you are giving it and receiving. You are the giver, you are the receiver. And one of the challenges I think that has happened, the disservice that we've been done by otherizing the divine, by
Mm.
externalizing the divine and source, creator, God, whatever it is that we're waiting for it to do something for us rather than awakening to the fact that it is doing it as us, through us,
Yes.
within us.
Beautiful. You say that
Yeah.
again. Say that again.
I said, this divine thing that we've otherized and externalized is not going to do anything for us. It's going to do it as us,
Mm-hmm.
through us,
Yeah.
within us.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to happen. Cause and effect has to happen. The baby has to be in the womb for 9 months before you see a person. So
Mm-hmm.
that thought, that desire, that belief has to be in the womb before you can see it materialize.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered something yesterday. I was driving and I remembered something. People say, oh, you've got spiritual senses. Oh, you've got these five or six or seven spirit. No, 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 no. I only have one spiritual sense, the I.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I experience that I that I am. Through my eyes, I experience you. Through my ears, I experience you. Through taste, touch,
Mm-hmm.
I experience you. But it's one sense, my I, my
Mm-hmm.
authentic self, my I amness.
Yeah.
That's my divinity. And everything else about me is in service to that.
Yes. How beautiful. Absolutely. Indeed. This is what we want people to develop, this central stability that you're speaking about, to come from that one single place always, no matter what. And what happens is it develops its access for this God source presence, the life force itself, to pour through without us stopping it. And it pours right through us and into our life experience. And it gets reflected back to us as the divine. We live a divine life when we learn how to stabilize in this way that you're referencing, this one sense, this one perspective. It's the single point of consciousness that is the truth of us, and you're not letting go of it. You're walking, talking, living, breathing as that every chance you can, every moment that you can. That's the point, right?
Yeah, but one of the first steps, and this may be helpful for someone, I feel it in my spirit, so somebody must need it. To get clear about what that point of consciousness is.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been taught A, to externalize it, B, to otherize it, but C, to personalize it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get clear about when you say consciousness, when you say the divine. See, I don't have a problem with God. I cleared that up. We went to therapy together.
Couples therapy.
Okay. Because
We're
the
bonded.
God that I was given, I could not deal with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we had to go to therapy. I had to, okay, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? What is this about? Really? Dude? Okay. And so But a lot of people, I suspect, and that I've encountered, haven't been able to tap into that I-ness, that singleness of consciousness, because they still have conflict, upset, hurt, anger, disappointment with God. That concept. So even if you change the word and you say spirit or infinite intelligence, if you don't clear up the stuff, you're still not going to tap into it because it's in you. It's like, I'm gorgeous, I just ate my ears. I'm gorgeous, but my boobs fell down.
Hmm.
You still
Exactly.
have that. So one of the things I really want to encourage the listening family to do is clarify your relationship
Hmm.
with that oneness, that consciousness, that divinity. Doesn't matter what you call it, it will respond to whatever you call it, but you want to call it respectfully. You want to call it reverently. You want to call it lovingly. You want to call it with compassion. You don't want to be trying to get to God when you're still really pissed off at God because your parents divorced, or because you were violated, or because you got adopted, or because you can't make the money you want. If you've
Yeah.
got that stuff going on, clean it up.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you will never be able to fully experience yourself in the oneness as the oneness with the oneness.
Hmm.
Just on my heart, I
Beautiful.
thought I would say it.
Yes. So thank you so much for tapping into that. One of the things that I find it makes it easier for people to find that reconciliation is to try to feel an open heart when they're thinking about this idea of God or the divine or source or the unified field, etc. To if they can't get it clear in their mind, they can maybe they can just touch their heart, touch their belly and their heart at the same time, and allow for a felt sensation of openness or warmth to begin to open and lead this reconciliation to communication again, or communion, or ultimately integration into the oneness that is inherently true.
Set that intention.
Yeah.
Set that intention to be in reconciliation with the oneness, the consciousness, the divinity, the source of life, whatever it is you want to call it, and
Mm.
to integrate it from the feeling nature in such a way that it will orgasmically connect with your mind.
Mm-hmm. It
Now,
is. It is an automatic,
I can go to the orgasm.
flourishing.
Do that.
Yeah. It's a flourishing. It's a blissful kind of feeling when that happens, when we open enough just to let a little bit of it come through. And and I love that you're calling it orgasmic connection.
Yes,
That's,
it is.
who's not going to listen to that? Somebody
Okay.
now people are dialing in. They just turned up the volume. They want to make sure they hear the rest of what you have to say.
Yeah. And make it you, maybe it's the religious part of it that it has to be so heavy and how this morning I was on my computer and I turned on this song and it's called Good Love, and it's from an old movie, but it's got a nice beat to it, and it talks about driving in the 70s with my hood down. That's how good your love is to me. I don't know what they were singing to, but me and God had a good time in that moment. Yes, good love, good love. Oh, it was so
Absolutely.
beautiful. Take the song, take the art, take the color that just makes your heart open, that you can feel, and just dedicate that to the divine and sit with that. If it's a taco, you know, you
Come
eat
what
that
may,
taco,
as
say,
long as
I
there's
am
joy.
intaking the divinity of
Yeah.
my oneness, this unified field of take that in and ask, how does that feel to be in the you got to do what works.
Yeah.
Let's not make it, everybody don't have to be the Pope with the incense and the candle. Do it
Do it your
until it
way.
works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to do it our way. The core of us is ananda. It is bliss. The
Yes.
core of us is bliss. And so the closer we get to the deep core, true, authentic self, the more blissful it becomes, the more
Yeah.
delightful it
Yeah.
becomes, the more we find the joy and the silliness and the playfulness right inside the seriousness. And it
Yes.
doesn't mean we lose the reverence just
Right.
because we're allowing it to be enlivened and joyful along the way. And I think that's been a real entrainment in the wrong direction.
Yeah, when whatever opens, everybody knows this song. Stephanie Mills sang, "Never knew love like this before."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, what if you were to just take breath, allow breath to take you down into your heart,
Yeah.
and set the intention to connect with the unified field of oneness of mind, of life, of God, and hold that song. I once was blind, but now I mean,
Yeah.
just listen to the song because it's got the rhythm,
Yeah.
so it's going to get all the chakras aligned.
Yeah.
Because I never knew love like this before. Open my eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
what's wrong with it? You're not being, we're not being disrespectful or irreverent. We're
Right.
opening the heart.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that song, and
Yeah.
they'll make it about another human being. What
Yeah.
happens if you make it about Source, Creator, God, Spirit,
Yeah.
Divine Mother? Never knew love like this.
Right.
Never,
Right.
never, never knew. I never knew. I never knew. I never. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, that's my Iyanla. I knew it. I knew this was was what we were headed for today, and it's such a delight to share this with you. And that's the point, right? We have to allow our own awakening to be guided through the bliss and the delight of humor and of play and of deep sincerity, and
Yes.
anything that opens our heart brings us closer to
Yeah.
that deep truth. It does,
Yeah.
indeed. What a great joy. What a great blessing to be able to put these pieces together and allow the art of awakening to become easy and filled with grace in everyone's life. This is how it's
Art,
done.
the art.
Yeah,
Notice you say the art.
yeah,
They're all forms of art.
yeah.
What
And
if
it
you,
right.
yeah,
And
if you
art
try to,
it's personal, right? People look at
it is.
art and they're like, this is what moves me. Well, this is what moves me. Or I see this in this art, and somebody else will say, well, I see this. And that's the point. It's artistry. It's personal. And our tiny nuances and what turns us on or lights us up is the way. That is the way. It doesn't have to be governed by the outside. We just need a few parameters so that we don't leave ourselves out of the mix when we start moving into the divine or thoughts of the divine or understanding it, that we include ourselves in the conversation, that we're part of what we're studying, we're part of what we're tapping into, and it isn't out there, up there, over there in some obscure fashion. And we are awakening as a species to that awareness, and we're just wanting to bring some grace into that process for everyone.
One of the things that I guide people to do is to really understand, to study, and to learn how to embrace and hopefully embody the seven main aspects of God. God is simply a religious name for mind, that unified field, that quantumness. God is the religious name for it, but it is mind, the universal mind. But what are the aspects of mind that are consistent, that are impersonal, that are universal, that you can tap into, rely on, hold on to? They're not going to change. They don't care if you're straight, gay, black, white, old, young, rich, poor. This is it. And I think as people begin to understand the nature of the essence that we're calling God, mind, source, creator, if you understand that it's love, it's truth, yeah, it's life. Life. I mean, you can look at a porcupine or a poodle. That's life. That's source. You can look at a rainbow and a volcano. It's life. It's source. So if we understand the source, the nature of the source, it's easier for us to, again, integrate, embody, and embrace those things in every single aspect of our life. If you're on the march or on the journey, on the crusade, whatever you call it, to awakening, understand what you're awakening to. It's not a thing, it's not a person, it's an essence, it's a nature, it's a presence. It's a presence. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a
The divine presence that is you, the divine
yes,
presence that I am. That's what we're waking to. The
yes,
divinity in
yes,
oneself.
yes.
Beautiful.
And then that will also, just my experience is, when you start thinking that way and moving that way, it's also going to trigger up your stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to trigger up your stuff. The fear, the unworthiness. I remember, when I was young, I was a very prolific participant in the art of smoking happy flowers.
Well, that's
I
creative.
wasn't dead, dead. I was a prolific participant.
Happy flowers. I love that. That's very
The
funny.
art of smoking happy flowers,
Uh-huh.
okay? So when I, much later in the nut house, when I had my awakening and when
Yeah.
I was, having my healing,
Yeah.
that was on my docket. That was what my soul chose to pull me out and isolate me, put me in seclusion with the spirit. Um, all of that came up. The I wasn't unworthy because I had smoked so much pot and I had slept with so many people and I had told so many lies. All of that came up
Mm.
as I get stiller and I'm putting clean water in.
Yeah.
All the specks of my humanness came up and I learned how to say, please forgive me. I
Yeah.
forgive myself. I forgive myself. Please forgive me. Until
Mm.
the day I heard, really, there's nothing to forgive.
Nothing to forgive.
There's nothing to forgive.
When we find that deep, humble space, we realize it isn't about forgiveness. It's okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do what we need to do until we learn how to do better.
Yeah. And then we do better.
We do what we need to do. The other thing, when in the busyness of life, learning how to be still in the busyness, I studied the hummingbird.
Mm.
They're magnificent creatures.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, beautiful,
Yeah.
tiny, tiny, tiny.
Yeah. I know. They're
But I
precious.
noticed that when the hummingbird, because I feed the birds on my property, and the hummingbird would come to suck the nectar, and the body would be still and majestic, and the wings are flapping.
Going like crazy. Yeah.
Wow. I'm like, oh, teach me how to have stillness in motion,
Yeah.
like the
That's it.
hummingbird. Teach me how to have stillness within while I'm in motion because I've set my intention. I've done my communion. I'm conscious of my breath. I'm being present with myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's beautiful. Beautiful. And speaking of stillness, and I know that we're kind of coming up on our time today. I could talk to you for hours and days. It's such a delight. But I know that you have a program about the stillness and the silence that you offer up coming up about this time of year. So, can you tell us a little bit about your 21-day program?
21 days a drill in silence to still that separate mind, to quiet, to reconnect to that unified field of divinity, nobility, love within you. It's a 20-minute meditation every day for 21 days. If you can do it in 21 days, most people take about 64. They start and
Right.
forget.
Beautiful.
Day five and got it all, which is fine. It's
Yeah.
recorded, it's in my voice. Um, and coming down on the end of the year when everything is coming into stillness and rest. I did this program to support us, even though we've got to get the turkey, get the tree, do the Hanukkah, do the whatever it is that we're doing, how to have stillness in motion. uh, Drill in Silence. It's an old program from Unity Village. And I contacted them and asked them if I could use it. And they said they didn't even know who the author was, but as long as I gave attribution to Unity. So I've updated it and recorded it and set it to music. I think it's absolutely divine. I'm on day 13 of my like sixth run through.
Beautiful. Right now
Yeah.
you are. How
Yeah.
beautiful. And look how much fun and how funny she is, everyone. So just because you're practicing stillness and silence doesn't mean your life has to become dull and boring.
Right. And you can still have good shoes.
You still have good shoes. You can still appreciate a good shoe.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, I can.
Iyanla, you are a living, breathing, beautiful Madonna.
Mhm.
And we are blessed to share space with you always. I do hope that you'll join us again on Art of Awakening sometime.
Anytime.
And
Good luck on your travels.
thank you.
Good luck, and be safe. And thank you for awakening, awakening and teaching this beautiful, beautiful art. Thank you so much.
Oh, it is my honor. Blessings to you. And blessings to all of our listeners, our family out here. It is such a joy to share these ideas with you, and I know that you've enjoyed the beautiful exchange with Iyanla Vanzant. You can find her program at iyanla.com, and that is IYANLA.com. And check out her 21-day program and lots of other things there as well. Blessings to you all. Thank you for joining us on Art of Awakening. Bye-bye for now.